True attraction rarely uses a megaphone. It speaks in a language of intuition and biology. When a woman reaches a point where she is ready to offer you her time, her heart, and her physical presence, she is unlikely to make a formal announcement or say, "I am ready now." Instead, the shift happens internally, moving from a state of cautious evaluation to one of emotional openness. Because many men are conditioned to look for overt, verbal green lights, they often overlook the most profound signals. In reality, desire doesn't shout. It whispers through a softening of her posture, a lingering gaze, or a subtle change in the atmospheric tension between you. This silence of attraction is actually a sophisticated dance of the nervous system. When a woman feels a genuine connection, her body transitions out of a protective fight or flight mode and into a rest and connect state. This isn't a calculated game or a strategy to be mysterious. It is a fundamental requirement of female psychology. She is subconsciously scanning for emotional readiness and physical safety. If she feels that you are a steady, non-reactive presence, her walls begin to thin. You will notice that the air changes. Conversations become less about facts and more about feeling, and the silence between your words starts to feel comfortable rather than awkward. Understanding this means realizing that if you are waiting for a clear verbal invitation, you might miss the very moment she has already decided to let you in. Proxemic behavior is the study of how humans use space to communicate intimacy, and when it comes to attraction, it functions like a silent magnetic pull. While an uninterested woman will instinctively maintain a buffer zone to preserve her personal boundaries, a woman who feels a genuine connection will begin to subconsciously shrink the distance between you. This isn't usually a dramatic or sudden move. Rather, it's a series of subtle adjustments where she drifts into your personal space. You might notice her leaning in more than necessary to hear you speak, or her feet and knees naturally angling toward you even in a crowded room. These small shifts are outward reflections of an internal state. Her nervous system has tagged you as safe, allowing her to lower the physical guard she normally keeps around strangers or casual acquaintances. Think of this physical closing of the gap as a biological vote of confidence. When she ends up sitting a little closer to you each time you meet, or allows her arm to brush against yours without pulling away, she is signaling that she feels at home in your presence. This behavior is deeply rooted in our evolutionary biology. We naturally orient our bodies toward things we desire and away from things that cause us stress. This magnetic shift is often the very first indicator that the relationship is moving from a platonic level to one of deeper intimacy. Because it happens on a subconscious level, it is one of the most honest signals a woman can give. Long before she ever finds the words to describe how she feels, her body is already moving toward you. While steady eye contact is often cited as a sign of confidence, the most profound indicator of attraction is frequently found in the break of that contact. When a woman looks at you and then quickly glances down or away, she is experiencing a moment of genuine vulnerability. This look-away reflex is a biological signal that her internal system is being flooded with emotion or arousal, making the intensity of a direct gaze too powerful to maintain. It's a shy, instinctive response that shows she is not just mentally present, but emotionally impacted by you. Unlike a cold or indifferent look away, which feels dismissive, this specific break in contact is usually accompanied by a soft facial expression or a small, lingering smile, indicating that while she is momentarily overwhelmed, she is also deeply interested. This visual dance is often paired with self-soothing gestures, which are physical cues that her body is in a state of heightened awareness. When her nervous system is awake and responding to your presence, she might unconsciously touch her collarbone, adjust a bracelet, or lightly bite her lip. These movements serve to calm the slight, nervous spark she feels when she's near someone she desires. These aren't just polite habits. They are physiological markers of a body shifting into a state of readiness for connection. When you see these signals combined, the broken eye contact followed by a gentle touch to her neck or hair, it's a clear sign that the interaction has moved beyond the surface level and into the territory of real, felt attraction. In the architecture of human connection, emotional safety is the foundation upon which everything else is built. For most women, the path to physical intimacy is not a straight line of physical attraction, but a journey through emotional layers. This means that a sense of surrender, whether it is giving you her time, her trust, or her body, is almost always preceded by a period of emotional exposure. When she begins to share her personal history, her secret fears, or her past disappointments, she is engaging in selective vulnerability. She is essentially inviting you into the private rooms of her mind to see how you react. This is a critical testing phase. She is silently evaluating whether you are a safe harbor who can handle her complexity without judgment, or if you are someone who will mishandle the soft parts of her identity. Psychologically, the female brain is hardwired to prioritize security before it can fully engage in desire. If the threat detection center of the brain, the amygdala, is active because she feels judged, rushed, or misunderstood, her body will remain in a state of guardedness. True desire cannot be forced or negotiated. It can only be unlocked when her nervous system feels a complete absence of threat. This is why a woman might seem interested one moment and distant the next. She is likely checking to see if the emotional trust is deep enough to support the physical attraction. In this context, safety isn't just a nice feature of a relationship. It is the absolute gatekeeper. When she knows that her emotions are protected by your steady presence, her internal barriers naturally soften, allowing genuine intimacy to take root. Genuine desire is rarely static. It creates a visible energy that disrupts a person's usual composure. If a woman remains perfectly calm, neutral, or flat in her interactions with you, she may respect you or enjoy your company, but the romantic spark is likely missing. Instead, look for what psychologists call attachment activation. This is a state where her nervous system is reacting to your presence, often showing up as a charming lack of coordination. You might notice slight fidgeting with her jewelry, a sudden burst of nervous laughter, or an increase in how expressive she becomes with her hands and face. This heightened energy isn't a sign of immaturity. It's a biological signal that her body is being flooded with feel-good neurochemicals like dopamine and norepinephrine, which physically prevent her from being perfectly still. Alongside this nervous energy, watch for the phenomenon of behavioral synchrony, or mirroring. This is one of nature's most powerful indicators of alignment. When a woman is subconsciously into you, she will begin to mirror your physical state. If you lean back, she leans back. If you take a sip of your drink, she does the same moments later. Her brain is literally syncing its rhythms with yours to create a sense of harmony and rapport. This isn't a conscious choice. It's an automatic biological green light from her brain's mirror neuron system, signaling that she feels a deep, intuitive connection with you. When you see her movements matching yours paired with that subtle nervous spark, you are witnessing a nervous system that is fully engaged and open to building a bond. Before a woman fully commits to emotional or physical intimacy, she often enters a subtle phase of risk assessment to determine if the connection is stable enough to support her vulnerability. This phase is characterized by small, seemingly accidental physical contacts, like brushing a stray thread off your shoulder, adjusting your collar, or letting her hand linger just a fraction of a second too long when passing you an object. These aren't just polite gestures. They are pings sent out to gauge your resonance. She is watching your immediate, unfiltered reaction to see if you are steady, attentive, and respectful. If you respond with a calm, grounded presence, it signals to her nervous system that you are a safe space. But if you react with overeagerness, aggression, or impatience, her internal alarm system will likely cause her to retract. This testing also extends into the emotional and psychological realms. You might notice her bringing up a deeply serious topic or sharing a small insecurity to see how you hold that information. She may even briefly pull away or become quiet for a day to observe your response. Not to play a game, but to see if you react with insecurity and pressure or with strength and consistency. Her system is essentially performing a stress test on the relationship's foundation, asking, if I give this man the keys to my heart, will he protect it or will he mishandle it when things get real? Understanding that this is an instinctive search for safety rather than a manipulative tactic allows you to remain the anchor she is looking for. When she sees that your character remains unchanged, even when she is vulnerable or distant, her internal green light finally turns on, allowing the connection to move from a state of testing to a state of true surrender. When a woman becomes emotionally invested in a man, her cognitive priorities undergo a significant reorganization. You will notice that her memory for the small things becomes incredibly sharp. She will recall a passing comment you made weeks ago about a favorite childhood dish or a specific challenge you're facing at work. This mental tracking is a sign that you have moved from the periphery of her life to the center. Along with this mental shift, she will begin to subtly rearrange her personal schedule, often making herself more available for spontaneous meetups or staying later than planned during a date. This is a quiet way of signaling that your presence has become a priority over her routine. Furthermore, her attention to her own presentation, adjusting her posture when you walk in, reapplying lip gloss, or choosing a specific outfit for your meeting, is not about vanity. It is a biological signaling mechanism designed to communicate attraction and high interest without ever having to say a word. However, while she is signaling her own interest, she is also intensely observing you to understand the emotional landscape she is considering entering. This observation isn't focused on your status or material success. She is looking for the data points that reveal your true character. She is watching how you handle a frustrated waiter, how you react when you're stuck in traffic, and whether your actions align with your words over time. She is essentially looking for behavioral consistency. This period of observation is a protective measure. Her system needs to know if you are emotionally stable and reliable before she fully commits her heart or her body. By watching your reactions to stress and your treatment of others, she is deciding if you are a man who offers the long-term emotional security she needs to feel safe in her surrender. The final shift is the moment where a woman's internal negotiation ends and her choice to be vulnerable begins. You will recognize this shift by a visible change in her physiology. Her shoulders, which may have been slightly tense or held high, will drop and relax. Her breathing deepens and slows, signaling that her nervous system has moved entirely out of a state of evaluation and into a state of rest and digest. In this phase, her gaze loses its analytical sharpness and becomes soft, a warm, lingering look that indicates she is no longer scanning for red flags. She stops worrying about the right thing to say or how she is being perceived, and she starts simply being in your presence. This is when the silence between you stops feeling like something that needs to be filled with nervous chatter and starts feeling like a shared, comfortable space. When you sense this opening, your most powerful move is to remain perfectly steady and patient. The common mistake many men make is to interpret this softness as a signal to rush or escalate the pace dramatically. However, true strength in this moment is demonstrated through restraint. By maintaining a calm, respectful pace, you provide the final piece of evidence she needs, that you are not there to consume her or rush her, but to connect with her. This steadiness proves that you are worthy of the immense trust she is placing in you. Psychologically, when she feels that her pace is being honored, her trust deepens even further, often causing her to move closer to you naturally and without fear. Surrender is not a loss of power. It is an act of profound trust, and your role is to be the grounded anchor that makes that trust feel well placed.